Good evening.
Hi, Navin. Good evening to you, and good afternoon to those in Sri Lanka and rest of the countries that are close to us. So let me welcome you all to Ask Grit. This is Shine Samat, based in Sri Lanka, together with Navin Bisilva, all the way from Melbourne. For those who are first-time viewers, Ask Grit is a live Facebook session where you can ask all your questions about the Australian property market and how you can get your hands on a dream overseas property investment. So let's ask away. Navin, are you ready for the line of questions that I have for you?
Let's go for it.
Right. The first question that I've got, so everyone's talking about the Australian property market and that it's experiencing a boom at present. In your opinion, what has really contributed to this
now? There's a few reasons. Number one is right after the pandemic, there was a lot of savings which people were having because Aussies love to travel and there was no travel involved. There was so much of savings, and I think it happened for the best of most of these people where they could utilize these funds for property investments and to buy their own homes. And number two is right after the pandemic, there was so much of grants which was offered on the table for the first home buyers, where they could make use of about $50,000 to $60,000 when they buy their first home. And that's a lot of money for someone who buys their first home. And that resulted in a real big boom for the first home buyer market. And most of those grants lapsed in April, but then came the investor market, where it's the best time for investors to invest because the interest rates locally are really low. It's around 2% right now, and it will remain the same for at least a couple of years. So investors are flocking in right now, and that's the reason. It's not only one city; it's all over Australia. It's the property market is really hot.
Yeah, I did a little bit of reading now, and it says that the property market across all 5 major cities has grown by about 12.6% in the last 6 months. I think that's a phenomenal growth, considering the fact that the pandemic hit at various times. In most cities or major cities in Australia, and they still bounce back, and they always bounce back. I think that's a very good sign.
Yeah.
To those who are a little bit reluctant when it comes to investing now or watching and waiting. So I think these are all good signs for people. Let's get back to our second question, Navin. When you resell the property, can you get the funds back to your home country? How does the process work, and will I be taxed?
Yes, that's a very good question. Reselling, you can resell in the local market using a property agent, and once you get the funds, it will go into your bank account in Australia, and then you can repatriate the funds back to your home country. There's no restrictions at all in doing that. And in terms of taxes, you need to pay the capital gains taxes, which is the capital gains of the property from the time you bought, minus any other expenses. Once you do that, you can repatriate the money back to your home country without any issues.
Right. So in terms of taxes, getting your money back to your country, does the taxes apply to the country your native country that you get the money back to, or will there be any other further tax from the Aussie area, from the Aussie side?
There's no tax from the home country, but because it's an investment they did, and then you're getting the returns back. But in Australia, for the investment you did, and if you made a gain out of it, you have to pay taxes for the relevant gain before you take the money out.
Right, lovely. So this would lead me to my next question, which is from the same person.
Yeah.
So can we transfer a property to a family member without paying without paying tax as a gift? Now, I think this person is a non-resident,
Right.
And if that person is buying a property in Australia, can it be transferred later on to either Kittokin as a gift? And will there be any tax involved? And I like to add to that question as well from myself. Now, if you're transferring it as a gift, uh, does that also fall into the secondary market category? The person you're transferring it to?
No. So to answer the first question, you can transfer it to your kid, your son or daughter, but you have to pay stamp duty when you add a new person into the property. Unless if say for example, the husband has bought a property and then they want to add the wife in, between the husband and wife, there's no stamp duty. But if they are foreigners, they have to pay an additional Foreign Investment Review Board fee of $6,350 if it's below $1 million. But apart from that, there's no taxes. But if it's a child, you have to pay the additional stamp duty. Second part of the question, sorry, can you come again on that?
Yeah, so the second part of the question is, now, say I buy a property for my son.
Yeah.
And now I wish to transfer it at the handover.
Yeah.
But will it be a secondary property because my son is a non-resident? And he still get the property transferred?
Yeah.
Or does he have to still go through a brand new property?
No, you can, because you are adding them onto the title. It's not you're not selling it to him. So adding them onto the title. Right. So, I mean, he will have to pay the Foreign Investment Review Board fees and all that, and the additional stamp duty, but that will be, that can be done through a solicitor.
Right, excellent. Also, another question, what does the owner's insurance cover? And how does this work?
Yeah, so you mean the owner's corporation, right?
The client has mentioned insurance, owner's insurance.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so if it's if it's an apartment, you have something called owner's corporation or a body corporation, which means it's like a condominium fee where it'll take care of all the common amenities, lifts, swimming pools, gyms, all that. So maintenance fee for all that, as well as it will cover the insurance of the building. Meaning that will cover any natural disasters, any damages to the building, whatever it is, it will be covered. If it is a house, then there's no owner's corporation because it's a standalone house. Then you have to insure the property for natural disasters or any damage to the property. On top of this, if it's an investor, if they want to protect their home from any potential issues from the tenants, there is also insurance called landlord insurance, which we recommend most of our investors, where they can get that, and that will also cover by any damages which is done by the tenant during their stay, which cannot be covered from the bond we have taken. And before COVID, they used to cover about 10 weeks of loss of rent in case if a tenant goes default. But right now, they have put that off for the moment until things settle down. But once things get back to normal, you get 10 weeks of cover for loss of rent as well.
Right. Very informative. Okay, we have another De Silva who has asked a question here. So will you look after my property once purchased, and how would you do that?
Yes, of course. I mean, we take care of the end-to-end process. After the purchase, if you want to rent it out, we'll rent it out for you and manage it for you, keep you updated on what's going on through statements, income and expense statements. And then whenever you want to sell the property, we will help you to sell the property. So it's not a once-off service where we sell a property and walk away. We take care of it right till the end until you tell us to stop.
So, so once the property is handed over, we handle the property management thereafter, taking care of the property until resale.
Yes.
Helping find tenants, with helping them get the landlord insurance, etc. All of that is handled by property group.
Correct.
Right. And so we are getting a few questions here. Does Grit help me purchase any properties in all across Australia? I think that's a very, very good question and very easy question to answer.
Yes, the answer is yes. Short answer is yes. We do help to buy properties anywhere in Australia. So it can be Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Canberra. Not much in Darwin, but everywhere else we do have.
Right, lovely. All right. How easy it is? How easy is it to find a tenant to a house or apartment once I purchase a property through Grit?
Can you come again, Shine?
Yeah. So how easy is it? So this client wants to know how easy it is to find a tenant to a house or an apartment once he purchases a property through Grit. So in terms of how we can help them find a tenant,
now
what's the likelihood of us? Yeah.
I mean, firstly, we always recommend properties which can be easily rented out, because otherwise there's no point in the investment. Right now, the city apartments are suffering because of COVID, because the student population is less. There is a lag of time to rent out city apartments, but apart from that, townhouses as well as houses in the suburbs, I would say within 4 to 6 weeks, you will have a tenant for each and every property.
And some of these developments that we work with, they offer rental guarantees as well.
Correct,
so
yeah.
I think the potential investor has a choice of selecting maybe a unit or a house that offers such a rental guarantee. And one of the common questions that I've been asked when I meet with my clients is that after this rental guarantee is over, then what happens?
Yeah, so the rental guarantees are given mainly to give some confidence into the buyers, so that they know that rentability is there, renting is not an issue. Now, what rental guarantee means is, in case if we cannot rent it out, then the rent will be still paid on a monthly or a quarterly basis, whatever the agreement is. Now, when there's no rental guarantee, still there is rental demand, but in case if there's a lag in between, you will not be paid. So that's what it means when you don't have the rental guarantee. But as you said, most of the developments do come up with rental guarantees.
Brilliant. Also, in case of apartments, who takes care of the unit after handover? This is another question by one of the same client.
If it's for investment, if you are living in the property, obviously you're going to take over. If it's for investment, we can take it over and we can manage it, we can rent it, we can manage it, and then we can resell it for the investors.
Right, lovely. And also, once the rental guarantee is, we'll say, over, now Grit Property will manage the property throughout this period when the rental guarantee is in place?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And how does the developer, sorry, excuse me for that, how does the developer, as in, can the developer rent your unit out at the time when the rental guarantee is in effect, or is it a vacant unit that you're paid a rental guarantee for?
No.
In fact, this question was asked by a client I met today.
Yeah, it'll definitely be rented out to someone, because rental guarantee is there in case if that guaranteed amount is not met, the developer will top it up. So it will definitely be rented out, because no one wants to pocket out from their own money to pay a rent. It will definitely be rented out, but it's been given mostly to put the customers at ease so that the rent is guaranteed.
Right. Do we have any more questions on the Facebook platform?
Yes, I think we do.
Yeah.
Does Owners Corp cover loss of rent as well? Short answer is no. Owners Corp does not cover loss of rent. If you want to cover the loss of rent, you have to take landlord insurance. But most of the landlord insurances right now does not cover loss of rent because of the pandemic. But I'm sure things will get back to normal in another, probably actually 6 months. Another question, will the property be transferred to children in case of a death? Very, very good question. In case of a death, it will not automatically be transferred to the children. So we always advise our clients to do a will in Australia, which means that will can specify what exactly needs to happen in case of an unfortunate death. However, in case, for example, someone has bought an apartment, they have put a 10% deposit, they couldn't settle and they pass away. Most contracts say that in case of a death, your deposit can be refunded. But it doesn't automatically happen. It's always best to have a will in place in Australia so that the lawyers are up to date, the banks are up to date, there won't be any ambiguities whatsoever.
That's a question, Navin. Now, again, in case of apartments, this is to do with the handover. Just after the handover, there's, like in Sri Lanka, we have a management council that is incorporated by the developer for a period of probably 1 or 2 years, and then it's given over to the residents to elect their one of their residents and have a council and have a management council of their own. How does it work in Australia?
Yeah, typically developers hand it over to owners corporation companies. So just like property management, there are companies who specialize in owners corporation where they deal with all the maintenance work, the landscaping, pool maintenance, lift maintenance, and all the amenities maintenance will be taken care of them. But they do regular updates to all the landlords or the owners, and they do have general meetings and get their consent. But it's been handled by a separate entity, which is, I guess, easy because it's third party. Their job is to do that, and they specialize in that. There's one more. If there's owner's corp, do I also need building insurance? If it's an apartment, you don't need to. Owners corporation will cover the building insurance. So any damage to the building where you're in will be covered from the owners corporation.
Another question: what is the warranty on the appliances in a typical property like an apartment or a house? So we'll take the case of apartments. What would be the warranty on the the pre-installed appliances?
Mostly it's 1 to 2 years.
Okay, is that provided by the developer or the
manufacturing company?
Manufacturing company. All right.
Yeah. Say for example, if the brand of the oven is Meg or Bosch, it will be provided by Bosch or Smeg.
All right. Very good questions today.
Question. There is a talk about burst of a property bubble. What are your thoughts on that? And will it actually burst? The property bubble bursting story has been going on for the past 10 years in Australia, and nothing has happened so far. And the moment when the market is going hot like this, and it's, as you were saying, it's about 15-16% growth for the past 6 months. It's whenever these things happen, these kind of articles, these kind of news items come and pops up in the media because that's what media is for. But what I see is as long as the fundamentals are right, the population is growing, interest rates won't be rising for some time because the economists want the inflation to be around 2 to 3%, which is below right now, and they want the unemployment to be around 5% mark. So the fundamentals are right, and as long as the interest rates stay low, and it is appealing for overseas investors as well, these investments are not going to stop locally as well as overseas. So it might slow down, but I think it'll still continue to rise, and the demand is going to be high at least for the next 6 to 12 months. Excellent questions.
Excellent questions. That's right. I think the answers to these questions are very clear that whoever is listening in and has any sort of interest, now is the time to really get your hands into the Aussie real estate market, considering the situation there in terms of the property market, the economy. I think from the G7 countries, Australia is right on top in terms of recovery, not only from COVID, but recovery from, in terms of the economic recovery that they're having. Just like the past, Navin, they keep recovering phenomenally. You hit them with something, they come back stronger than ever. If you talk about the GFC in 2008, you talk about the, whatever the economic shocks that took place, we'd say in the last 30 years, they have never been able to really affect the Australian economy or property market. Don't you think so?
Yeah, no, exactly right. You're spot on. And I mean, when we talk back to investors who have, especially overseas investors who have invested in Australia, if we ask what's the reason for your investment in Australia, number one reason most people say is the stability of the country, and that's very important for an investor. It's not volatile like some of the other countries. Right. So I think it's time to wind up. We always want to keep these sessions short and sweet. And yeah, so we'll be back next week with more questions. Feel free to ask any questions. You can reach us out on email, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it, we're everywhere. Thank you so much. Yes. Thanks, Shine, for joining.
Thank you so much, Navin. Yes, stay safe, invest safe, and let's meet up soon next Thursday.
Thank you.